Be part of the peace movement. Share this episode using hashtag the Great Disarmament and download the free peace resource guide at aviskalfsbeck.com/peace guide. The Great Disfarmament, the Great Disarmament, Part 7. The Fog is Lifting. Remember when I told you way back at the beginning that the Great Disarmament had already begun? Did you laugh? Did you roll your eyes a little? Maybe you were kind about it. Sweet idea, but have you seen the world? Or maybe you didn't catch its beginning at all. That would be fair. It didn't exactly announce itself with confetti. But if you didn't see it, don't worry. Let's take a little time now to clear the gun smoke and the fumigation mist. Let's step out of the trench, wipe off our glasses, and look again. Let's see where we've come. We began in clubs and compost when the tools of survival were still sacred. Farming was ceremony, war was still eye to eye, and the line between feeding and fighting was not yet drawn in blood. Then we lit the fuse. Gunpowder and guano traced the alchemy of war and waste, how bat droppings and saltpeter became empires and cannon fire. The land was no longer sacred, it was mined. Trenches and toxins took us into the fields of Europe, soaked in mustard gas and grief. There, chemistry proved it could kill by air, by soil, by subtlety. Agriculture absorbed this new power, and fertilizer became fallout. Cold crops showed us a global standoff. Missiles in silos, but also monocrops in fields. Mutually assured destruction wasn't just nuclear, it was nutritional. The Green Revolution promised life, but often delivered dependence. Then, in regeneration and resistance, we'd reached the turning point. We saw life itself, seeds, biodiversity, the commons, claimed by corporate patents, a new kind of colonization dressed as salvation, but all along something else had been building. Some people said no. They remembered old ways. They saved seeds, planted trees, fed neighbors, and knelt, not to pray for peace, but to grow it. That's where you find it. That's where the Great Disarmament begins. Not with treaties, but with compost. You may be thinking, wait, that was it? That was the turn? I missed it. Of course you did. We all did. Because this isn't the kind of war that ends with a flag or a drumbeat. This is the kind that ends quietly. When a farmer refuses to spray, when a student asks a hard question about a family gun, when a teacher replaces a lockdown drill with a lesson on compassion, when someone plants, not because they're hopeful, but because they're here. The Great Disarmament is not a prediction. It's not theoretical. It's not waiting for perfect conditions. It's happening right now, all around us. The question is, are we paying attention? Let's pause to honor the voices that walked with us in the Great Disfarmament, parts 1 through 6. The Shurupak tablet reminded us that even in ancient times, humans warned each other not to glorify weapons. William Blake taught us to beware the mind-forged manacles, the inner chains that make violence seem inevitable. Sir Albert Howard gave us a vision of soil, not as dirt to dominate, but as a living system to respect. Rachel Carson, in her Quiet Power, showed us how even the most invisible toxins could alter the future, and how truth, when spoken with care, could still shift the world. Winona LaDuke stood at the intersection of land and lineage, reminding us that sovereignty includes seed, story, and survival. These were not generals or rulers. They were prophets, poets, farmers, and scientists. They saw the danger and chose to see further. From the page to the soil. The Great Disfarmament walked not just through history, but through literature, through voices that saw the world clearly and wrote what others dared not. We began with the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest surviving stories in human history. In it, we found the early warning, What happens when men sever their bond with the wild, when the sacred forest is cut and the gods grieve? From there, the chimney sweeper with William Blake offered a vision of innocence betrayed, of children poisoned by soot and industry, crying out from beneath the weight of God and priest and king. His poem is short, but its rage is ancient. In All Quiet on the Western Front, Erich Maria Remarque gave us a soldier's voice that did not glorify war. His mud-soaked, gas-choked prose carried the physical cost of nationalism and the quiet brutality of returning home from the front, disarmed in body but never in memory. Then came Silent Spring. Rachel Carson's courage shaped an entire generation. She peeled back the marketing sheen of chemical agriculture and revealed its hidden cost on birds, bees, rivers, and human lives. Her book was not just science, it was prophecy. We met The Man Who Fed the World, the biography of Norman Borlaug, not to condemn him, but to understand the paradox of Green Revolution thinking. His vision saved lives. It also set the stage for monoculture, chemical dependency, and corporate control. And finally, Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer wove together the oldest truths with the newest hopes, botany and ceremony, reciprocity and resistance. Her words rooted us in the idea that the earth is not just where we live, it is who we are. I know, it's a lot. The headlines don't scream, "Peace is spreading." The algorithms don't reward surrender. And we're not trained to trust softness. But that's why this series exists, to connect the dots, to remember what's real, to name what's already unfolding. If you've been walking with me, thank you. And if you're just arriving, welcome. You're not late. You've landed at a turning, and what happens next depends on us all. Next episode will begin the Great Disarmament. We'll revisit every era we've walked through, but this time through a different lens. Not the story of control, but the story of courage. Spears and Surrender will take us into ancient peace traditions, nonviolent resistance, and the quiet power of refusal. Because if we know how to destroy, we also know how to stop. Let's go. That wraps up this episode of Peace is Here. Will you please take a moment to subscribe and share it with a friend? Subscribing helps others discover peaceful, independent storytelling, and it means a lot to me. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck, author of the Pedro the Water Dog Saves the Planet series, eco-adventure novellas for readers who care about environmental justice, joy, and saving the world one story at a time. You can learn more at aviskalfsbeck.com. Book 6, Mono Mutante, is now available at all major online retailers, or if you'd like to support my book directly, you can get the ebook at aviskalfsbeck.com/mono-mutante. It's a wild satirical ride through food, farming, and the messiness of recovery. When you subscribe to my list, you'll also be the first to hear about my next book, Bulletproof, which asks, what in the world are we going to do about guns? A link to subscribe is in the show notes. From October 18th to November 8th, 2025, I'm running a live Kickstarter campaign. I'd be so grateful if you'd visit aviskalfsbeck.com/Kickstarter to get notified. I'm creating a companion field journal for Book 1, One More Year, called Peace Stuff Primer, along with a stage play version of the book. I can't wait to share it with you. This episode was human narrated by me with the help of AI, which has promised to let me know if it ever makes something up. So far, no confessions, but if you think I've missed something or if you just want to say hello, I'd love to hear from you. Podcast music is by Javier Peque Rodriguez. You'll find links to his music on Spotify and Bandcamp in the show notes. I'm Avis Kalfsbeck. Thank you again. Until next time, listen for the peace.